Wow,
so
thank you.
Cute.
We're in our sort of demure navies.
It was like you were your navy. Yeah. I want to ask you, why did you want to write this book?
Oh my gosh. So this book, it takes place over like 5 years of my life. At the end, starts at like the end of my singlehood experience.
Yeah.
And kind of like goes all the way through to now.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was like, a lot of people try in one way or another to express what pregnancy or motherhood is like, but like I've never really heard it expressed as a continuum. Like I am still that same person all the way through.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a book about what that was like, and I hoped that whether or not you're interested in pregnancy or have been pregnant or whatever, maybe you don't care, like whatever your deal is, that as long as you are alive and having some sort of emotional experience, you could probably relate to something.
Yeah,
like
yeah. You talk about a crazy experience, though, that was pretty scary with the birth of your daughter. And that would have terrified me.
Yeah. My daughter, when I gave birth, she couldn't breathe properly.
Yeah.
And part of the book is like working through things that I guess I was not able to fully understand in the moment, and really like get myself to understand like what happened to me and what did I feel when I was suddenly a mother. Like moment one, the baby's out of my body. Okay, now I am the pregnant person. I was the pregnant person, now I'm the mother. But the baby is in the NICU, she's not with me. And the amount of like shame that I felt about that, like aren't I supposed to be the one right away that can help and keep you safe? And and also, you know, I was like really proud that I did it in general.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kind of hard to get a baby out.
Yeah. And there is a lot of shame that comes with it, and it's so messed up because it's like, we just created central nervous systems like humans.
So much.
We're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is like shame and going back to work. There's a lot of guilt. There's just all this stuff. And you're right, the continuance of that is often, you're just all of a sudden a mom. There was no class.
It's just a constant mixture. It's all simultaneous.
It's an experiment.
Always like a convergence of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing.
Trying my best.
Yeah, like I'm new here, but I'm involved in what feels like the oldest, most right love. And like, it's really hard, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And some of it's really gross, but it's also essentially very beautiful.
And funny.
Yeah, and it's really funny.
A lot of humor.
And sometimes it's very sad as well.
But that's when the humor comes in, because I like dark humor. Yes.
Yeah.
You say in the book, I do not tolerate junk, but I do love treasure.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't tell the difference, right? Depending on the person.
But depending on the person,
yes,
for sure.
So what's like treasure for you?
Like, for example, my treasures are like a really beat up, gigantic T-shirt that I got at a Paul Simon concert in 1990 when I was 8 years old. Yeah.
You still have it?
I still have it.
That's incredible.
And it's still big on me now.
Oh.
Yeah, and I love it, and like I think it's really cool. But
Was that like one of your first concerts?
It was my first concert.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that
barfed
part.
the whole time.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I missed basically the whole concert. I was in the first aid tent. I was too excited.
Wow.
Yeah, huge Paul Simon fan. The second the lights like went up and they were playing like Call Me Al or Obvious Child, like I was like, yay! Whoa! And like I just fully barfed.
That is it was, wow, your parents didn't have a great time at the show.
My dad had a good time. My mom was like, huh.
That tracks.
Yeah. Hold for a 45-minute laugh there from every mom. Every mom in the world is like,
your mom's in the tent. You're like, I love this show.
Yeah.
Congrats on the new podcast. This is fun. We were just talking about it. You get to do it with friends.
Yes, I do this podcast called I Need You Guys with my very best friends, Gabe Liedman and Max Silvestri. We've been best friends for 1 trillion bazillion years. That's all of us holding our different hands.
All you needed was like the lasers in the background. Remember those when you were a kid? Like the school pictures?
Oh, as if my mom would let me have that background.
Yeah. This is fun though. So you talk about stuff like this on your podcast.
I was like,
really important stuff.
Yeah. It is. So Gabe and Max and I had a live stand-up show. We do sometimes still do it. We had a live stand-up show for years and years and years. First in Manhattan and then in Brooklyn and then in LA. And then in the last 5 years or so, we're kind of like not living in the same place anymore.
Yeah.
And we were like, we need to catch up. Like, we miss each other. And luckily, we're stand-up comedians and we are, you know, professional entertainers. And we are allowed to now have a podcast that is basically like, it's kind of like our group chat, just exposed to the world. So take it or leave it. Maybe don't allow your kids to listen to it. It's for adults, I'll say. And it's like, it's a chatty, fun, imagine you and your best friends just sitting around talking about stuff that is not boring, but is like weirdly cozy, regular, and very funny.
Yeah, and probably highly relatable.
Yeah.
I heard they give great advice. What's like some great advice you've had?
Oh, yeah, so part of what we do is like, you know, since we don't run into each other every day, we use our podcast as a way to like catch up. Like sometimes Gabe will be like, the nectarines are blooming on my nectarine tree. And that is like for real, such great news, you know? Part of it is just like watching a friendship really happen and how fun and soothing and kind of often like stupid and silly that is.
Yeah, but the everyday things are awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it feels so good. Sometimes I listen, I mean, I should, I guess, just to make sure that the podcast is good, but like, I listen and I'm like, these people, and then I'm like, oh, it's us. But sometimes it'll be like, I had a very strange experience that honestly will really need to listen to the podcast to understand it, and I don't want to spoil it. But where someone who claimed to know my in-laws like left a large like printed manuscript for me at my husband's general store. And was like, hey, I know your in-laws. So it's like, okay, so you know you're known, right? And then was like, I wrote this. I have you in mind as like the main character. And first of all, it was like, of the book, or is it a screenplay? Or like, what is this? And this like printout. But I brought it to Gabe and Max because I did not know what to do, because when I did peek into the manuscript, it was highly sexual.
And they,
it was like crazy
and they were
sexual.
like, you are perfect.
They were like, I'm thinking of you while I write this. And I know your in-laws. And it was like, whoa.
I'm grossed out.
What do I do? Do I tell my in-laws? What do I do if I see this person? I don't even know them. This is a crazy thing. Would you ever say something like this or do something like this? And sometimes we just kind of like unpack our current, most weirdest moments. And then also people call into the podcast and we answer sort of like very random etiquette questions for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that part too. I heard the first night that you and Gabe hung out was pretty memorable. I need you to share.
Yeah. For two people who are, we used to call each other non-sexual life partners.
That sounds boring.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Or as Gabe used
I think
to put
some marriages are put that way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was very clear early on that he was not interested in being my boyfriend.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, in that he would be like, when I think about your vagina, it's a nightmare for me. It's like, got it.
I am unattracted.
Like, probably not into me then.
Got it.
Because I definitely have one of those. Yeah, the first time we hung out, it was like, hey, you're like a cool, funny guy I've seen on campus. And he was like, yeah, you seem cool too. And because it was Y2K, we couldn't be like, movie right now, onto the computer or whatever, however we get them now. We were like, should we get a VHS of E.T.? That movie that neither of us have seen in 10 years, because, you know, we had to go get the VHS before. You can't just, like, watch everything when you want to when it's Y2K.
You go to Blockbuster.
Yeah, and we had done something that really makes you hungry.
Yes.
And then it makes you want to watch TV for, like, 9 hours.
Yeah.
And we were like, sweet, why don't we get E.T.? And then got on the subway and went the wrong way. And it was like Harold and Kumar. Like, it was like a night of just like, what is happening to us? And we don't understand because because we ate a plant or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to get kicked off of
you
like
took some
everything.
herbs.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
We took some herbs.
And then you got home though, and this is the best part. How did you enjoy E.T.?
Oh, by mistake, we got the movie Tank Girl. It's not that movie at all. Like, let's do this. Time for E.T. Phone home, everyone. And then like it was just like, what the hell is this movie about? Yeah, we didn't. I don't remember if we watched the movie. All I remember is being like, I don't care about anything but this guy. Like, this guy is like my best friend right away. And then 4 years after that, we met Max, and we were like, come with us. And he was like, for sure. Yeah, and we've just never been apart. It's been like 20 years at least of friendship, which is crazy because I seem like I'm in my 20s.
I am so young. I love when you come. We need a short break. Jenny's podcast is called I Need You Guys. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes Thursdays on the SiriusXM app. And her book, Lifeform, is now out in paperback wherever books are sold.